Dudes, what's up, my big dogs? So, over these past 2 or 3 years, I've really sat down and thought about this whole, MX bikes versus MX sim fiasco, right? And I really think it's like comparing apples to oranges. I don't even think when it comes to the physical feeling on the bike, you can talk about all you want about, MX bikes has better graphics, obviously, because MX bikes did not come out in 2007, okay? It's got some of these other different cool features like, tear off system, yada, yada, yada. But when you talk about just the physics, the physical feeling on the bike, it's like, I really don't understand. It cracks me up. Some of you boys will try to sweep MX Simulator under the rug, or you'll act like it's this super old, outdated, subpar physics system for a dirt bike simulator and shit like that. It's like, bro, I'm honestly confused here because I'm like, what else would you even want the physics to do on MX Simulator? I can't figure it out. I've been trying to think of it. I'm like, so if MX Simulator is this old, outdated, subpar physics system, why can you literally do every single little thing you would do on a real-life dirt bike, or any little thing that would happen when you crash, or anything like that? Everything that can happen on a real-life dirt bike can happen on MX Simulator. Everything. The kicker feeling when you come over a jump face. You guys know how in real life, when you jump over a jump and you hit the jump face really hard and you're not expecting that kicker feeling, and it's like, oh shit. MX Simulator captures that feeling perfectly. The wheelie, stoppy, swap out in the crash, endo over a jump face, the realistic whip inertia where the bike will naturally bring itself back around, but it also has this feeling where if you whip too hard, you can just get stuck in the air, right? Because it has that inertia. It's got all the inertia you could ever want. It'll do everything. You can do turn-up whips, oppo whips, backflips, scrub the ground, absolutely James Stewart level handlebars dragging the dirt kind of scrubs, and the scrubs feel totally different than the whips. You can jump quads, skill gap, the pop-off system's perfect. The whoops are super skill gapped. They make the bike, you can wreck in the whoops every kind of way that you would wreck in whoops in real life. If you drop that front wheel, you can flip over, you can wheelie up over the whoops, you can bounce over sideways. I mean, the amount of reaction the bike can have on MX Simulator to all the different little things that can happen on a real life dirt bike, I genuinely don't see what else you could want out of it physically. I don't know what else you could want. I'm just like, that's what makes me scratch my head when people try to downplay a dirt bike game that does everything physically, everything. It's like, bro, put a little respect on a name, dude. Put a little respect on a name, dude. You know what I'm saying, bro? Like, shit. And it's like, this really isn't a MX Simulator is better than MX bikes, or MX Simulator versus MX bike. That's not even what this video is. This is just this is why I think MX Simulator is still comparable, still a really good dirt bike game, still very competitive physics-wise to any other dirt bike game out there. It just is. And I hate to break it to some of you boys, but some of you boys are deniers. You don't want that. You just want MX bikes to totally take over the simulator, part of this dirt bike gaming era that we're in, because you love MX bikes and that's your game. And that's cool and all, but you can't just sweep MX Simulator under the rug. You can't just, let's shovel a little bit of dirt on that old game and act like that's a piece of shit. You can't do it. It's already stood the test of time, and it's going to continue to stand the test of time. I don't know why people act like it just cracks me up, bro. It's like, what more do you want the bike to do? It does everything. It's got leaning systems. It's got gearing, full-blown suspension settings, everything you could want. Brake settings, you know, every kind of little, you can turn your brakes joint. You can have just front brakes, rear brakes. There's shifting. There's every kind of realistic dyno replication with different power curves. I mean, when you talk about the motherfucking gameplay, the physics, the actual physical feeling of the game, that is just simply where MX Simulator will still compete with any dirt bike game out there. The one thing that matters the most, that's the thing that MX Simulator still has. It still has it. It still has it. All that shit where you've got to be like super perfectionist, precise on a certain Supercross track to shave off 1/10 of a second here, and let me jump that little double just a micromillimeter more clean than I did the last lap to shave off a lap time by, 0.1 second. It's got all that shit. It's got all of it. It's got the high speed, if you hit roughness, actual real 2017 RF track pre-made roughness, 4th, 5th gear tapped out on a 450, it's a motherfucking challenge to keep that bike under control. It's got all that realistic shit where if you're on the gas into a corner and you start getting on the brakes, it'll start to actually make the bike get out of shape a little bit simply from getting on the brakes, just like it would in real life. It's got all those, like the bike will set up. If you hit like a single really fast and you slam on the brakes, the bike will set up in a certain kind of way and the suspension will work in a way. I'm just like, I don't understand it. When some of you boys act like MX Sim is just some unrealistic, outdated, it was good at one time, but it's not that good anymore, bro. That's a load of dog shit. That is a load of bullshit. And I think a lot of you boys know it is. You know it is, but you're just going to say it anyways. That's what we've come to with this MX Simulator, MX Bikes war that has seemed to have happened here, right? But at the end of the day, it's like, you're not going to take away what MX Simulator has going for it. You're never going to be able to take that away. One of the big things that I think gets a lot of these dudes where they get these certain ideas about MX Sim, they'll get on there and they'll mainly ride like a 250 in the game, They won't even get on a 450 or one of the more modern dynos in the game, so they're not even really getting the full effect out of the game, and or they don't have their setup loose enough in the game, and because it takes forever to get to the point where you can get the bike super loose to where it feels kind of like you're playing reflex on steroids, but you can still control the bike, right? So it's that combination of, I think a lot of people get an idea about MX Sim just by riding a 250, or they've mainly rode a 250, and those bikes, they're not even really in the quad jumping, the super 5th gear tapped in the whoops. You know what I'm saying? When you get on the 450 and you're riding that sumbitch to its maximum potential, it's a different deal. It's just a different game. It's a different kind of thing. And I just know there's a lot of people out there that never really got to that level on a 450 and set their bike up that way loose enough to where they even got that sort of feeling or that effect that I'm talking about with MX Sim. They never even got it to that point. You see what I'm saying? For me personally, I'm just going to tell you right now, MX Simulator is everything I could ever want. Physics-wise, physical feeling out of a dirt bike simulator. I don't want anything else. I wouldn't even want anything else. You boys talk about all these little things with MX bikes, like, bro, okay, so what? I don't really care to have anything else. That's my whole point. I'm not over here like, well, MX Simulator was good, but like, I'm looking for something more out of the physics, bro. I think the bike could be more realistic if the physics were changed like this. Like, I don't think about any of that shit with MX Sim. Literally none of it. When I'm playing MX Sim It's like, this is exactly what I want the physics to feel like. This is exactly the inertia and the bike reaction over the whoops and the skill gap and the hucking and the seat bouncing. This is exactly the way I want the bike to feel in a dirt bike simulator. To a T. To a Turley tea sipping motherfucking T, bro. So you're never going to persuade me. You're never going to, well, I'm going to just, fuck MX Simulator's physics. Like, you're just not going to do it, bro. You're not going to do it. Like, yeah, I'll still play MX bikes because it's a fun game and I have a good time playing it. But, like, it's never going to be a better MX Simulator to me. It's just never going to be like that. MX Simulator just has that feeling to it. And every time I go back to it, I get the same feeling like, oh shit, this is it. This is it. This is what I've been looking for. It's right here, baby. It's been here the whole time, baby.